All right, looks like we're all live. Hi, Uzbek Diaspora community. We're extremely pleased to be back on our virtual stage with you guys after a bit of longer pause. We are refreshed and determined more than ever to get more active and more involved in our virtual activities and networking engagements like this one. So today we have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, one of the Uzbek diaspora founders with us, Shakhodat Khanbabaeva. And we welcome you on our stage as a guest, not as a host this time. And our today's conversation will be focused on her and her academic and professional background. And I have known her for the past maybe few years. And again, despite being young, she's super, friendly. She's super like helpful for everyone. She's had a great academic and professional journey so far, and she's here to share her story with us. And welcome to our stage.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hassan, for that great introduction. It does feel a little weird to be on the side. I'm usually the
Yeah.
one interviewing, but this is a moment I've been waiting for. I was just waiting to finish my school, get a full-time job, and when I'm in that position, I'll have a little more to share. So the time has come, I guess. So I'm very excited.
Perfect, perfect. I see some people are tuning in. We're already getting some attention. All right, nice. All right, I'm just gonna give a brief overview of your autobiography, and we'll
Mhm.
be, touching up on each of the, segments briefly, like as we go.
Yeah.
Shakhodat graduated from Marist College this June as honor student with a degree in finance and a minor in psychology. A good combination. She
Yeah.
was able to receive a full ride to attend Marist, and we'll be discussing it during our interview. And during her time at Marist, she took on many leadership roles, such as the president of class of 2022 and co-president of Beta Gamma Sigma. Very interesting name. I'd love to
Yeah.
know about this.
Hmm.
All while maintaining a high level of participation in business club, Beta Alpha PSI, very interesting name,
Hmm.
investment club, uh, and a volleyball group. Shakhodat's professional experience includes completing a 6-month long financial analyst co-op program with IBM, interning as an audit analyst at JPMC, and working as an audit intern at EY. This summer, she joined Wells Fargo as a wealth and investment management analyst, which has been her goal since college. All right.
That was a
That's a,
lot.
that's a very
No,
impressive
well,
background. I'm reading it.
thank
I'm like,
you.
you know, a lot
Yeah,
of young students and young people would love to have this background. And that's why you're here to share your experience with us. All right, let's
yeah.
start with warm up questions. Uh,
Hmm.
do you prefer texting or talking?
Talking.
All right. Favorite city?
What is it?
Your favorite city?
Uh, I like Miami pretty good. We have
Miami.
a good time in Miami. I don't know for long-term living, but that's the one that came to my mind.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well.
Hmm.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals? It's a silly question, but
Every language for sure.
every language, right? Okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, actually, this one is tough because I always wonder what animals are thinking. Like, imagine having a dog that you're able to talk to. They'll probably be 100 times better than they already are, which they're
Yeah,
awesome. So
yeah,
maybe animals, actually.
yeah. Sometimes you get bored of people, right?
Right? What else can be different,
Yeah,
Another language, same thing.
right. And how long does it take you to get ready?
Hmm. Depends on where I'm getting ready for, and I can get ready as fast as like now, which took me 5 minutes.
Oh wow, that's
Yes,
awesome.
and as slow as an hour. So it really depends.
That's super impressive.
I know.
Um,
I was impressed.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
Pretty good. I would
Pretty
say like, and actually I would say an 8 just because sometimes I'm not as good with the passengers. I like make turn a little faster because I want to get somewhere faster. But when I'm conscious, yeah, I'm
good.
like an 8, 9.
Gotcha. Cool. And what age do you want to retire?
Earlier the better. So we'll see. Around like 40s would be awesome, of course, but life will show.
That's awesome. That's a good goal. 40 is a good goal. What does money mean to you?
Oh, that's tough. I guess in a way, to make your desires as they your physical, I guess, being desires come true with money. Meaning, where do you want to be is determined by money in terms of what country, what
Hmm.
kind of house you want to be in, what kind of
Right.
maybe health state. Maybe if you attend, like, see doctors more, you have the means, you go to checkups, and maybe you'll be healthier. Of course, this is all physical, and I think it can definitely, we all know, help with some emotional be like state as well. But it's just gives you the ability to decide where you want to be physically.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's a foundation of financial freedom, I would say, right?
Oh, that's a good way to put it, for sure.
Yeah.
hmm I went a different route with it, I guess. But
Yeah.
yes, that's the
Okay.
definition.
The last silly question: how many pull-ups can you do in a row?
Oh gosh, I used to be able to do more than now. But now it's like I would say three at my best.
Okay. So tell us about where you are, how's the weather out there, and how long have you been there for, and some general stuff.
Yeah, I mean, how lucky are we that today actually it rained. It's been sunny every single day, 80, 90 degrees, and today it was just raining. I woke up and I'm like, okay, I don't want to get out of bed, but gotta do what we gotta do. We
Right.
love Uzbek Diaspora, and this interview I've been looking forward to. So I really got myself together for this, and I'm excited to be here. So I'm currently in Minneapolis, well, Minnetonka, Minnesota. I don't know if
Mm.
people are familiar with Minnesota. I actually myself recently moved here. It has been like 2 months.
Mhm.
So I'm still, well, it will be 2 months soon. I'm still adjusting. And my work location is here down in downtown Wells Fargo Center. So yeah, weather is bad, but we're
Huh?
feeling good.
Seems like you don't like the rain as much, huh?
No, it just makes me sleepy and lazy, but
Yeah.
it's okay. Rain is
Can't
good
believe-
for Earth. So
Yeah, I can't believe it's been 2 months already. Wow, time
yeah,
flies.
yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
what city did you say you were in again? Minneapolis State,
Minnesota, Minnetonka
Minnesota,
City.
Minneapolis. Okay,
My job is in Minneapolis. That's why I automatically said Minneapolis, and
right.
that's the downtown of Minneapolis.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Let's talk about your years at Marist. How do you say it? Marist College?
Marist College.
Marist College.
Hmm.
Marist College, and your academic journey, your student life, your social life at school, and your instructors and what you learned from it.
Yeah, yeah. So, as some people might know, I went to college at Marist and lived on campus. So, Marist was an hour and a half away from my house. So, that was just a perfect distance where I can really learn to be independent, be close to school so I can participate in more organizations, kind of take on more active roles. Because, as driving to school for every single class, going back and forth takes a lot of time. And that's something I really wanted to avoid since college is the place where it will be the foundation of my future in a way.
Hmm.
So I really came into college prepared. I moved to the United States in 2013. So, in the beginning, I was still adjusting. I went to middle school for a year and then high school for 4 years to really get the language going, get myself comfortable, seek out some opportunities so I can be prepared for college. So,
Hmm.
when I went to college, I was already ready. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Well, I guess that's not true, but I knew how active I wanted to be, which is, as active as I can be,
Right.
since that's what really helps you get internships. You want to be successful both academically, but even more so in terms of like your extracurricular activities, because people nowadays want to see that you're well rounded. Just having a high IQ, just being smart, having high GPA is not enough anymore. In today's world, where, especially if you want to work with people, you really need to know how to talk with people, right? That's
Hmm.
more important than what you have in here. How can you deliver it? So, anyways, when I started my freshman year, I started looking into all different clubs. When I said clubs, it's like not a club. It's like an organization. I don't know.
Right.
Some people sometimes misunderstand different organizations such as business club, investment club, related to business specifically, since that's the field I wanted to go into. And then just because I also liked volleyball, since I want to be well-rounded, both, to be in academic and, physically active clubs, I joined volleyball. And then there were a bunch of other like music club, other clubs that I joined my first semester just to see what I really like. And this is a mistake I made in high school where I was trying to do everything and at once. So I wasn't good at anything. In college, I tried everything just so I can eliminate what I don't need and really focus on clubs that will help me in the future or clubs that I'm interested in.
Right.
So basically, I stayed with the clubs, and then business club, investment club, and Beta Alpha Psi. Those are the ones that I closely work with. And then later on, I got invited to Beta Gamma Sigma, which I'm the co-president of. And that's a club that you get invited to. It's by invitation only. And you got to be on the top 10% of your business class. So at that point, I think I was a sophomore already, and I have already chosen my major. So my college specifically, you can wait to choose your major until your sophomore year, second year of college. So, I knew I wanted to go into business. I didn't know if it's going to be finance or if it's going to be, I don't know, maybe accounting or marketing, international business. I just knew it was going to be business. So once I went to college and, talked with different professors, took different classes related to my major, I realized finance is just that field that you can go into and it can be applied to any aspect of life, right? Unlike, if I have a finance degree, I can go and do marketing still. I can go do international business still because I understand money. I understand how it works, right? That's the most important part. Whereas if I had a marketing degree, it would be hard to break into the finance industry, right? So that is why I chose finance. And in terms of my academics, I would definitely say I did my best. But since I'm very focused on being well-rounded, I wasn't one of those students who was in the library 24/7. And maybe during finals week, you would find me there more often than, usually. But I always just try to remind myself that all you can do is your best, but, just remember to balance everything. Remember to balance your fun time because college happens once. Remember to, study when you need to and, keep your goals in mind. Remember to learn and just continue growing. But I just tried to balance everything out. So to, at that point, I always got all my work done. I always made sure to have a good relationship with my professors because especially being a business major, those professors have a lot of connections. So while you're in college, really make sure you're building those relationships with your professors and building your LinkedIn profile where while you're in college, you can meet great people. I'll tell you a little more about it later. But that's how I ended up finding my internships, through my connections on LinkedIn even. So, and one of them was through my professor. So really go to their office hours if you don't understand something. And not only, maybe if you just want to have a conversation regarding your professional career with your professor, it really helps build that relationship. And that's something I wish I did a little more of. And I would recommend that for everyone. And time management, really manage your time. That is what's gonna make you or break you in college. You have to know when everything is due. I guess keep a planner. That helps a lot. I had a planner, electronic one. I guess it was on my phone, but it was really helpful. Otherwise, there are just so many things going on in my life. I have a volleyball game at 10. I have a, class at this time. I have homework due at this time. And then I had these club meetings. So if you are someone who wants to be involved, and even if you're not, it just really helps to keep a planner. So that's just a little bit, I guess, more broadly about my experience. But if there are any specific questions, I'll be happy to answer as well.
Yeah, someone just asked, hope it's relevant, but what is your motto, super and energetically?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the compliment. I actually have a couple, but I will say my, I guess, favorite one. There are just three of my favorites. I will just say this one because it usually comes to my mind first. Everything happens for a reason. And we hear this all the time. You hear this all the time. Something bad happens in your life. People are like, everything happens for a reason. And you don't really think into it. But honestly, like ever since I was little, I just, I'm just very optimistic. Maybe that's just genetics for the most part, but maybe it's the fact that I keep this always in my mind that everything happens for a reason. So when something really bad happens and I can't see through what would be the reason for that to ever work out and be a good thing in the long term, I still try to remember. And then whenever in the future that moment passes, I look back to remind myself, here, another time that it happened for a reason. So next time something happens, I look back and I'm like, well, that worked out. That happened for a reason. So is this. So just always got to keep in mind, do your best. Sometimes things are out of your control. Just remember that there is some kind of reason that's happening. Maybe it'll make you stronger. Maybe it'll teach you a lesson. Maybe it will be, that you missed an opportunity because there's a better one. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So, so far, just to recap, being able to balance your, social life, academic and professional life is super important. And make sure you manage your time. Don't focus on too much stuff at the same time. But like, I have a question. From based on what you said already, don't you think maybe the fact that you focused on many things helped you, like, single out the ones that you really care about, like, for example, finance and volleyball, and you just find out about your passion and what you want to do in the future. Don't you think that kind of prompted?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm actually really happy you pointed that out, because I think there is constant pressure on us young people to know exactly what we want to do, especially when we're fresh out of college. Just know what you want to do for the rest of your life. And it's just like, how, if I've never worked? Maybe you're lucky if you've had internships, which I had the opportunity to, but I know there are students who didn't have that opportunity, and it's like, how can you expect me to decide? And at interviews they ask, like, what do you want to do? And, obviously you should have some kind of idea. You can just say, oh, life will show. You got to have an idea. You got to work for it. You got to learn, but I think everyone has that little bit of room to really explore, which is why I think it's about the timing. So you want to balance everything. So in high school, I did everything. So that was when I did everything to really see. I took classes, I took AP classes, related to business, related to psychology, just a bunch of things, everything I could, because that I know helps with scholarships. Whenever you're involved in a lot of things and you're actually like able to maintain your activity level, and actually perform well in all of the things you're doing in that, like, the more you can do, the better in high school, because that gives you more opportunities for scholarships. Because there are some scholarships for students who are specifically in this like volunteer club. Like, I had Interact Club that offered scholarships to students within the organization. There's specific ones for people who do like athletes who do sports during the high school years. But then when you're in college, that's when you already want to have a little bit of a better idea, not know completely, but a little bit of a better idea. And that's why my first semester I still took the time. Sports and organizations are different at every school, and I've never been at the school. This is my first semester. So I went to every single introduction meeting, because most clubs usually have introduction meetings for incoming freshmen.
Right.
And that's where you learn about what the club is about, what you're going to be doing, future leadership opportunities. So I did that. I went to all these club meetings that I was interested in. I, learned about all the intramural sports, because there are many sports. You could do soccer, volleyball, and badminton. And it's just one of the things that takes a lot of your time, because games are usually 2-3 times a week. And if you practice, it takes up a lot of time. So I knew I needed to pick one, and I picked volleyball, as that was my favorite. And then in terms of sports, since I really was interested in the business industry, and that's something I wanted to go into, I decided to focus on clubs related to business. Let me think if there was anything different, because sometimes it's good to join a club that you're not only relates to your major, but maybe you're just interested in. Maybe there is some kind of TED Talk club. Every college is different, and if that's something you're interested in or you think would help strengthen your skills, then join it. But just make sure you're weighing the pros and cons. How much of my time is going to take, how much is this going to benefit me. So but definitely don't be pressured to know what you want to do right now at this moment. I've been talking to so many people at my job right now, like networking with people who are in VP positions, really up there, my manager, her manager, and all of them just say, when I talk to them, did you know what you wanted out of college? And their majors are like not even in finance. Some of them are like psychology. One of my bosses was in his major was in history. They're like, you know what? No, I never thought I would be here. and I still don't know what I'm going to be doing in the next 10 years if I'm going to stay in this position.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's normal to have questions. It's normal to have doubts. Obviously try to set a goal and work for it. But right now, if it's not the time, if you want to explore before you decide, that is totally fine.
Okay. I like what you said. It's normal to have doubts because that's what happens when you're like, at your late teenage years.
Yes.
You always have a lot of doubts, like which way should
Mhm.
I choose and what way is the best for me? Like, should
Yeah.
I choose this career or this academic journey? Like, there's so many questions.
Right.
And I feel like this conversation would be very useful for a lot of young people who have
Mhm.
a lot of doubts and a lot of questions. And I see some questions are popping up.
Mhm.
Let's see
Yeah.
this one. Nora Burieva. How do you overcome stressful situations?
Yeah. Thank you for the question, Naza. I guess as it relates to what I said earlier, I always try to keep in mind that,
Mhm.
there is a positive thing that's going to come out of this, that this is happening for a reason. And I guess this is just something I'm lucky to have. I've always just been optimistic. Sometimes, I have conversations with people and they may tell me about some issues, some problems that are going on. And I
Mhm.
just think about it, if that's not something you can't fix, like, why are you, the more you talk about something, the further you get involved with it, the further
Right.
you, like, the more you get worried about it and it just takes over your life. So sometimes when people complain, I just think about it that I've had a situation like that. I didn't even pay attention to it because it's out of my control. So if it's something's out of your control, I know sometimes it's hard to just like ignore something that when it's happening, but
Mm.
try to just focus on the long term. Try to think of it as this is happening for a reason right now. This is gonna, if you're working hard and stressed in school, this is gonna pay off. Or if maybe like, I don't know, like lost a friend or a loved one or something, meaning
Right.
like you broke up with your significant other. Maybe, you know what, maybe you would
Mm.
have really suffered with that person for the rest of your life and there's someone better out there for you. Everything happens for a reason, and every stressful situation makes you go think outside of your box in a way, and teaches you to be more optimistic, makes you stronger, more resilient. So in the long term, people who go through stressful situations are the ones who really distinguish themselves from those who maybe don't, and come
Mm.
out of it stronger.
Right. Very interesting. So, okay. Uh, Another relevant question uh, from Eliar Bek Rahmatullah. How do you think that your environment is a catalyst for your accomplishments? If you imagine, if you are in Uzbekistan, would you still be as successful as you are at the moment?
Wow,
Very
that's a good
hypothetical
question.
question, but let's give it a try. Let's see.
Yeah, no, that's a
There
great
you go.
question. I know, Hassan, you want to answer this one as well. I'm kidding. But I wouldn't say as successful, maybe. And this is interesting because this is something I think about since I haven't lived two lives where I had that life and this life. I can't say for sure. But it's funny because I always talk to my family about it. I'm like, what do you think I would be doing right now if I was in Uzbekistan? Do you think I would be as determined, or do you think,
Right.
would I be working at this big firm? And I think about that. And honestly, going back to the person I was from the within when I was in Uzbekistan hasn't changed. And this is one thing I remember my sister told me before I moved. She said, everything that you are now, all the friends you have, all the activities you do, everything that you are now, when you go there, that's what you will be.
Mm.
Even if I don't speak the language, I kept in mind that I will be able to be as active as I was. I will be a leader like I was. I will make friends like I had because I am still the person that I was, you know?
Mm.
And I guess because of that, I think I would still be very determined. I think I would still be working hard. I just
Mm.
don't know if all of my hard work would be paying off to the extent that it did here. And I don't
Mm.
know if the time it took me to get to where I am would be the time it would take me in Uzbekistan, perhaps. Maybe it would be
Yeah.
a slower journey. Maybe it would
Mm.
require even more, double
Mm.
my effort currently.
Right.
And maybe even then it wouldn't work out. It's all questions, right? I don't know for sure, but I definitely would more I guess, lean towards saying that I wouldn't be exactly where I am for sure. It would definitely be a little bit of a tougher journey. People that I'm with, people that I met, my professors that really cared about me, have helped me a lot in this journey. And my internships, which internship programs, as we know, are not very strong in Uzbekistan currently. To my knowledge, I think my internships have helped me tremendously. Right now, when I'm working in a job and I'm applying these simple like keyboard shortcuts like Excel skills, it's like I only know that through my internship. And that's really making a big difference in my current position, making me stand out from others. So without those opportunities, I definitely think I would still be doing well, but not nearly where I am right now.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's a hypothetical question and there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for attempting the answer.
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like one of our viewers, Azizbek Sultanov, dropped a question a couple of times. I feel like it's a super interesting question. Hi, Shakhodat Hassan. I would like to clarify about your internship and whole work at insurance companies in US. Do you have any info or network?
So
Insurance
hi,
companies.
Azizbek. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we said that at some point. I don't know where that came from, but hi, thank you for your question. So I can tell you a little bit more about internships in general, but I actually have not worked at an insurance company. I had the opportunity to, I did receive an offer from the Hartford, which is an insurance company, but didn't accept it. So EY, oh, I said assurance. Maybe that's what you meant to say. Assurance is on the accounting side. So
Yes.
I was in audit specifically. So it wasn't necessarily insurance. But do you have any information network? So when you're this early in your career, I'm not in a place right now where I can be like, okay, I have a friend, let me get him a job at this company. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works. But when you are further into your career and you are someone who is a full-time employee, has been with the firm for a while, and has a good standing, there are referral programs that you can go through to refer people for positions, especially now where we know people are not working, unemployment rates are pretty high, and we have a lot of people leaving. So that's like a thing that you can refer people. But I, at this point, can only make recommendations, give you tips, which if you want to build your network, like build your LinkedIn profile. Like, I cannot stress it enough. I know people don't take it seriously. Maybe they think it's just like social media, like Instagram, Facebook. No, LinkedIn is where you can connect with people you would never otherwise connect with. Like, I'm connected with some high up, individuals in like really high up executive positions at my firm, like as a first connection. And I think I'm like connected with some millionaire as a first connection on LinkedIn, because I was like, let me try to just connect with them, and they connect back and they become your first connection. So really, once you open up your profile, you have this LinkedIn profile, make sure you are active, make sure you're posting your accomplishments. And this is a place where you really show off. Like, and it's kind of bad and sometimes stressful to see people doing such big things, accomplishing, but it also motivates you, and also gives you the opportunity to really show to your employers who you are, what you've accomplished. So I would say, definitely share as much as you can. If you got a new job, you got a new internship, you got a new leadership position, you got a scholarship, share all of it there. And then once you do that, make sure you're connecting with people. So as I said, try to look up people. So LinkedIn gives you this function, which is awesome. Or you can look up people from your school and put second characteristic as someone maybe who works at a firm you want to work in. So I would put Marist College, and I want to see everyone who went to Marist College who works at JP Morgan and Chase. Then I put both of those, and it will show me everyone who went to my school currently in JP Morgan. And what do? I write a message that I can send to every single person that is on my list that I can meet with. And I explain, hey, my message usually went along the lines of, my name is Shakhodat Khanbabaeva, and I'm currently this year. I'm very interested in the firm. I've applied for multiple positions, but, I would love to learn more about your career at the company, your experiences. I see you went to the same school, so I think I have a lot to learn from you. Would you mind, scheduling a 15-30-minute coffee chat with me? And, most of the time they agree, and sometimes they don't open your message. Sometimes they don't respond, but it doesn't matter. You tried. You didn't do anything that will embarrass you. You get something that really makes you stand out, and more so than not, people actually respond to you, and people really like that you're taking that step, that you're and people love talking about themselves. So when you offer someone to meet with you, they usually really like that. So make sure you network on social media that way, but again, in person too. When you meet people who you think could really make an influence in your career, in your future, or on you as a person, talk with those people. Do not be shy. Everyone loves talking. Everyone loves helping, almost everyone. And at my job right now, on my floor, I meet people I don't know. I go ahead and introduce myself. I'm like, hey, how are you? Good. Extend your arm, shake hands. My name is Shay. I'm a new analyst in this program. I'm trying to get to know everyone. And, maybe you've seen that person before. You've done your research sometimes. So that I meet people that I've heard of if they're really higher up. So I'm like, I know you're in this role. I would love to meet with you for 15 minutes. Like, would you have some coffee chat on your calendar? I can set something up. So really go up to people, really make connections, networks. Just in the long term, that's what will help you, And so I guess, and make sure you're applying, obviously, because you still need to apply. Even if someone refers you, they refer your application. So, and it's always good when you're telling the person you're interested in a company and you've already applied, as opposed to, well, I'm interested, but like, how does the application process work? No, at that point, and if you're interested, you want to know everything about the firm. You want to be already, familiar with the application form. So, yeah, make sure you apply early. I know big firms, the ones I've interned at as well, all of them take applications for the summer program like a summer before. So for, for like next summer, if I was applying for an internship, I would be applying right now. And all the way up until December, which is usually when the application deadline is. And then all those 6 months, you just wait for the program to start. If you get accepted.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for touching up on this social media and the importance of social media presence, especially in our age where technology is evolving super fast, and everybody's connecting online. Even a lot of interviews, job interviews, or even like corporate events or meetings are happening online. So having a strong social media presence is super important. I 100% agree. And some of the things you mentioned, surround yourself with, like-minded people, try to connect with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is super cool tool to connect with people, and having a tunnel vision. I feel like you have a tunnel vision, whatever you do. That's what I'm like noticing, right? You just have a target, you have a tunnel vision, you just focus on it, and, you try to find ways to, get there to the destination. I feel like having a tunnel vision, having a determined mind is super helpful, right?
No, you described that so well, Hassan. I just want to add to that because that's something that every, I guess, book on like business, on self-development that you read really focuses on being able to vision your goal. And as I'm getting older, I see that come true, that when you have a vision, like literally as detailed as like the house you want to live in, as detailed as the position you want to work in, how are you going to feel when you're in this position? Like imagine yourself where do you want to be. Your mind does such insane crazy things. Your brain is capable so much that it just unconsciously, like subconsciously, starts leading you to that goal of yours. So yeah, you said it well. Have a tunnel vision, have that vision, and the rest will happen almost on its own.
Oh, yeah. You touched upon another good thing that I've been thinking about it lately, like having a vision in general, like visualizing your, future is super important as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes like it sounds very, how to say, extravagant or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, like visualizing your future in details is super helpful, because like you have to be excited about the future so that you take an action. You don't need a daily dose of dopamine or like some motivation. You just need to have a strong visual, visualization of your future, so that that drives you every day. That drives you to your goal. And that's
sure. I agree.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks for the question, Uzbek. Very good question.
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that we see some super big names on your profile, and I think we want to touch upon those as well. IBM, JPMC, EY, they're all cool companies. And eventually Wells Fargo, that's where you're at right now, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk about your first program that you've been part of, which is, you were a co-op, it's a co-op program with IBM, right? So
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
that about, and what did you learn from it? And share your experiences.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for the question. So I said it earlier that you want to have a great relationship with your professors. So I had a professor for organizational behavior, and that is a great business course where I explored the relationship between business, managing people, and psychology. And that's where I decided that I want to be a finance major with a minor in psychology. That's just a course that I truly enjoyed. Loved the professor. She was such a businesswoman, straight to the point, just really, says something, does it. Like, she was just a great role model. And she's someone I looked up to, and I would go up to her sometimes and tell her, hey, you really took your time. There are professors who just give you an assignment, hey, do it. But there are professors who lecture you, not just lecture from a PowerPoint, but like from their experiences through heart. You see they're putting in effort that they don't have to put in. Nobody's checking that they're doing that. And I would just go and let her know that I really appreciate that I really learned from this lecture. And I think that meant a lot to her, because later on I got nominated for this IBM program that happened at our school every year. It's like a simulation program where they just make a scenario and you have to, get out of it. They test your problem solving skills. It's like they put you in teams first. Anyways, it was a program I had no idea that existed. And if it wasn't for this professor, I would have never known, because it's only by nomination. So that's why only some people know about it. And it's very selective. So, and I hear that someone has nominated me, and I see that it's her, and I'm like, wow, that relationship. I just, sincerely, genuinely, thought she did a great job. And I went up, expressed it, and built that relationship and asked her questions, and she recommended me. So that's when I went and did that whole simulation where, we were given a scenario we needed to resolve. How, we had a financial script as well. How are we going to resolve this? How are we going to get out of it? So we didn't win the competition. One of my teammates was missing, so it was only two of us, and it's just like, whatever. We didn't win it, but that's not what I was there for. If this is an IBM competition, then there are IBM connections that I can make, right? And more so, there was actually a recruiter there. So they have this program to recruit people from that school. So that's why they have them at different schools every year, because they want to get best talents. So, recruiter after the session gave a little bit of a speech, and casually at the end said, if you have any questions or want to talk to me, I'll be here for the next 30 minutes. You can stop by. I said, yeah. I had my resume ready because, I knew this is something I'm going into. And my professor mentioned, be prepared. There might be a recruiter. So had my resume all polished. I updated it when there. And I waited for everyone to talk to her first. People just introduced themselves. I don't know what they said, but it was very quick that people spoke with her. So I waited for everyone to finish. I talked with the other people that were there that work just employees at IBM, because you really want to, you never know, if you're going to end up working with those people, you still want to build those connections. I don't want to just stand around. So I spoke with those people. Once she was free and everyone left, other than her and teammates, I went up to her and I said, hey, and I told her this program really helped me. This was an amazing program. I've done my research on IBM. I told her I know IBM is this and that, and I've been very interested in the firm for a while. I know I'm only a sophomore, but I want to get a head start. So, and I was like, I have my resume here. If there are, any tips or recommendations you can provide for me to, get kind of break into this, competitive position. And she was like, you know what? We're actually looking for people for next year. So why did you send me your resume? Sometimes it's as simple as they're just like, send me your resume, and I'm like, oh, really? Okay, yes. She's like, when can you do it? I'm like, oh yeah, I can do it as soon as possible. I'm actually ahead with my courses. So because it's a 6 months program, they want to make sure that you can take off from school or do online classes, because it's full time. It's not like a summer internship. It was throughout my school year. So since I was ahead with my credits, I could afford to take some courses off, or take online classes and take less credits. And I told her that, and she loved that. And that's what they were looking for. So right after I left, I went to my dorm, emailed her right away saying everything that she asked me to do, and she asked me to CC someone, and I did that. Anyways, long story short, I'm like going into details. I just want to really show how I do this, how I network. So next time you're in this situation, you feel confident that this is normal, this happens. They want that. They want to see you do something that other students didn't. Maybe they went up and they're like, oh, how are you? Like, are you doing well? But they didn't ask, what can I do? I'm ready. You want to present yourself. You want to have an elevator speech. Tell them about yourself. I told her what I do, what my major is, where I'm from, what I want to do. Anyways, I emailed her. She got back to me right away. We set up an interview, which was super casual, just for the check mark. I think she already kind of really liked me. And at the interview, we clicked a lot too. And then she extended me an offer. And that was my first awesome 6-month-long program, which taught me just a tremendous amount of lessons. That was my first ever internship where I had to work with Excel, and had a great person to train me. One of my teammates, another co-op who's been there for longer than me, was just super, super good, super nice, helped me out so much. I learned a ton of Excel, as you can imagine, at a tech company like IBM. You gotta know as little as Excel at least. So learned a lot, and I was able to use that skill later on. But another skill I learned is, again, that's where I started networking more with people at the firm, reaching out to people. And I know since I was there for 6 months, there were a lot of networking organizations that focused on. There was an organization where they would have speaker series every month. So they would bring in executives to speak. And one of the positions was open on the leadership role. And I asked my manager, and she's like, oh, I can recommend you if you want. So I was like, you know what? Yes, I don't want to just do my work and leave 9 to 5. I want to be involved with the firm. I want to get as much as I can through this internship. So I got that role. And guess what? Now I had the opportunity to reach out to these people, executives, and they see my name, inviting them to be speakers through the program, but at the same time making this personal connection. And when they come in, I introduce them, to 200, 300 people. It was called Lunch and Learns, and it was for a company-wide thing. So 200, 300, sometimes 500 people would join. And imagine me on the screen with this executive, and I'm introducing them and reaching out to them after, thanking them for the interview, and then sometimes asking them if they could meet with me personally after too. That I really love the conversation. I would love to meet with you and ask some questions, additional questions. And really, all of this just speaks to the power of networking. So that's how IBM went, and just really enjoyed the experience. Great company.
And that was your head start, right? That was the first company you've ever interned at. Okay.
Yes, first internship, I'd say.
That's awesome. From what I hear, I could see you started off as being proactive, meaning you showed a commitment. You waited until everyone left and you approached the person. That's a huge commitment. Some people just leave, or some people shy away. They're afraid of approaching, and that's what basically holds a lot of people back from one step from success, basically, right? And you already have elevator speech that you probably did you write it, or you already learned it by heart, or
So, I mean, I've been told about elevator pitch at school too, but it was just something that, since I did it so much in the beginning, I didn't really know that was a thing, my freshman year, sophomore year. But I would go to career center events, career fairs, where you network with company representatives that come in, and I would kind of introduce myself. And since I did it so much, I realized, oh, you know what? I do this. I should maybe add this detail to it, because someone, it was actually my interview with IBM representative that I just told you about, where she told me, oh, you know what I liked about you? When I asked you, tell me about yourself, you told me more than just your major and what year you are. Because she said students usually just say, oh, I'm a senior at Marist College and I'm majoring in finance. And that's it. It's I cannot get to know you as a person. Who are you? Where are you from? What are your goals? And it obviously cannot be 30 minutes long, but say something that makes you stand out, where they're oh, this person, I remember they said this, for example, sometimes when I describe my major in my part, when I say that I'm a psychology minor, I would describe to them why I chose that. And I would tell them, I'm just very interested in psychology. I feel like that's something that, affects any aspect of my life, whether it's personal or business. And sometimes they would, make a conversation out of it just because I said that. I'd be like, yes, I absolutely agree. Actually, I see psychology when I'm like, managing my employees. They usually they see that you're being like, genuine and like sharing a little more than the typical like robotic speech. It just turns into a conversation. It's like when you're like, I'm a finance major and I'm a psychology minor. Nice to meet you. What else are they gonna say?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's very impressive. Thanks for going into details. And I think Shahzad Khanbabaeva is asking a very relevant question, but you kind of already answered the question. How did you set yourself apart from others who wanted the same job? Yeah. I mean, you go ahead.
I can take it. Yeah. As I said, that part is if you're meeting people personally. But and this is a lot of things that are a little bit repetitive or connect in a way that I know I might have said earlier. But whenever I told you about LinkedIn, whenever I'm telling you right now about networking, if you've applied for that position, like sometimes I would see which firms are coming. I would see which opportunities are open, apply for them before the career fair. So when I go up to them, I can tell them, hey, I have already applied for this position. And sometimes they say, oh, really? Like, and then they get your name or give you their credit card. They say, reach out to me. And then they do that because if they see potential in you, as I said, there are referral programs in companies that employees also can benefit from if they refer a really good candidate. So if they think you're a really good candidate, they might refer you. And that's how I got my internship at EY, through a LinkedIn connection, actually. I'll tell you a little more about that in a second. But you want to set yourself apart by being proactive, by reaching out to people, because if they're like 100,000 applications for JP Morgan and Chase, which could, obviously be the case because a lot of people apply, they're not going to go through every single one. They have automatic systems just look at your resume, pick out some words that they are looking for. And, they might never look at your resume, as opposed to if someone in a company who is maybe in a really good role, or just in general, internal employee recommends you to a recruiter and says, hey, this person, can you please look at their application? I just think they would be a great fit. Then they're going to go into the system, look up your applications, and they see, oh, wow, yeah, this person has actually done all the, and you want to polish your resume. Cannot stress it enough. If you guys need a template, I can send you mine. Just reach out to me on social media pages, LinkedIn, Instagram, even our Uzbek Diaspora page. I can send you the template that most jobs that I go to, I see everyone uses that simple template with the information that is really quick to look at, because they're not going to look at your resume for more than 30 seconds or like maximum a minute. In a minute, they want to go through it and like see that you're a fit or you're not a fit. They have like hundreds, thousands of resumes. They just want to see left, fit, right, not fit, or so you want to make sure that within those seconds it really stands out. So really work on your resume, network. So I guess to stress the point of networking, I made the connection with this person on LinkedIn who worked at EY, was a senior at EY. I decided to reach out to them, and the same way that I told you guys earlier, I reached out and said, hey, I am introduced myself. I'm very interested in learning more about your career. I've applied for multiple positions at EY. I would love to learn more about the company from you. And anyways, I said all these things, and he responded. He's like, oh, sure, let's have a conversation. I would love to. And then we had a conversation, like virtually, coffee chat. And then I really showed my interest, my desire. I did my research about the company, so I was able to share, oh, I want to work at the company because I know it does this, it does that, and then ask them a lot of questions, and I truly genuinely cared about them. You want to show the person that you genuinely care, that you want to listen to them, more than you want to talk and show yourself, because then you leave a good impression. Like, if you talk about people and talk about things they want to talk about, they feel like, wow, this person, I really like this person. They like you as a person. And, we had a great conversation. Then he asked for my resume. He said, I have a recruiter from your college, because, recruiters are split on different colleges that they recruit from. And they said, I can, forward it to that recruiter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Yes, please send my resume. Forwarded it to the recruiter. Recruiter reaches out to me, and they're like, oh, we saw your resume. We'd love to get to know you and set up a coffee chat. I meet with them, 3 recruiters. We speak, and they met with me, but they told me that yeah, for this year, we've already done with hiring, unfortunately, but we wanted to meet with you because we want to keep you under our radar for next year, with next summer when we see you're only a sophomore, or I think maybe I was a junior. So we want to keep you in radar for next year. And, I made sure I wasn't like, oh, okay, like, why are you wasting my time if there's already no opportunity? No, I'm going to need an internship next summer. I know I'm going to need it. So I made a great impression on them too. I was super nice, super talkative, really interested in the field. I was very grateful that they took the time. Great conversation, hung up, added all of them on LinkedIn after the conversation, and reached out to all of them, thanked them. And then a few months later, checked in with them again, like, hey, how are you doing? And then when the time came, right? The time came to apply. A year later, I remembered this. I kept it in mind that I got to reach back out. And I found the same email conversation where we set up our meeting. And I replied to it saying, hey, I see the applications have opened up. I just wanted to reach out to you from our conversation last time. I'm very interested in the role still. And they were like, yes, you're like under our radar. As we told you, you are like one of the top, people on our list because we really enjoyed the conversation with you. Let's meet again and discuss. We met again. We discussed. They sent out the different there was a program list with links to different activities and meetings that happened prior to application opening up. And at those meetings, it's an opportunity for you to show off yourself, like ask questions, be engaged. So I did all of that. I went to every single meeting, didn't miss one, asked questions at all meetings, and then they said, okay, application's open, everyone apply. So I applied, heard back not too long after, like maybe 2 weeks after I heard back, and just had an interview with, I think 2 or 3 different people, and got the job. I just followed through. I just networked with someone. I stayed in touch with them, really maintained that connection throughout the year. And all of that is because I reached out to someone on LinkedIn,
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So yeah, there's so many stuff that you mentioned to wrap up. Like, just want to point out certain things. It usually takes 30 seconds for the HR department to look at your resumes and make their decision, right? So it's really quick. So it has to stand out. But other than that, like, there's the human factor, meaning like whatever event you attend, you try to, first off, you need to have a good charisma, I would say, right? I could tell, like, you have to build a good charisma, meaning like you have to be able to show you really care about the person and their experience and their life, and show some interest, and have an elevator speech, of course. And there's so much like useful stuff that people can apply into their own way of finding jobs and stuff. But awesome. So we actually went off a little bit from my initial plan. That sometimes happens when the conversation is super interesting. I get like swayed away from.
Oh, I do the same.
But not like, I think we also have to touch upon your latest company that you're working for, Fargo. And I think it would be super interesting because it's your first ever full-time job that you had.
Right. Okay, we can do that. I see there is a question on the screen you pulled up as well from Rayhana that I could quickly touch upon.
Right. Yes, please.
So when did you start applying for full-time positions? October, November of senior year. Can you explain the process in detail? I'm assuming it'd be different from applying to internship. Thank you in advance. Hi, Rayhana. Thank you for your question. It's actually a great one. I guess to answer the second part of your question, it's not much different. At least for me, it wasn't. It was a similar application process where you input all of the same information, just your background, your experiences, attach your resume. So in that regard, it was the same. But full-time positions are a little more serious, obviously. And, especially if you're applying for a top, notch company, you really, again, want to make sure your internships all of them are updated on your resume. It's polished, ready to go. And I started applying. I think I actually applied in October, maybe, because I remember hearing back.
October of what? What year?
Oh, like my senior year. So I was applying to start in the summer, because usually positions start after you graduate that same summer. So like I graduated in June, started July 2022, but I applied for it around October. So that's a good timing, I think. Earlier the better, of course, because most companies, whether you apply in, January or not January, but like anything after summer, whether it's August or December, they're usually hiring for the next summer. Unless you're applying like not through a program, but like they need an employee right now and you're already done with college, then yeah, you can apply for that kind of position. But if you're in college, they know you have to finish first. So they just, they're just recruiting for that group to start in the summer. So the earlier you start looking into it, the better. But I think that October, December, time frame is when they start hiring pretty actively, and that January, February, you still have a chance. So that's when I applied. I think either October or November, because I remember by December I was settling everything up. I already knew I was going to get a position here. I was done with all of my interviews, which I guess the difference is usually for full-time positions there, the interviews are a little more serious too. Well, my internship interviews were pretty serious. I interviewed with 2-3 people, but for this job that I'm currently in, I also interviewed with 3 people at the same time. So they were just all asking me questions, and you just go through the process. So very similar. You just want to apply for more and have some experiences to back you up by the time you're applying for full-time positions.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I mean, having had internships during your school years is like a foundation for you to to get your first full-time job. What do you mean by like it's more serious? Like how serious? Like getting a full-time job as opposed to like getting an internship job? Like
I guess I shouldn't. I guess I shouldn't necessarily say that. It just depends what kind of job you're looking for and what kind of internships. Because my internships were also very serious, very hard to get into, very competitive pool of students. So they weren't easy either. It was a very similar process. But for a full-time position, though, it's when I say serious, you want to have had those internship experiences to make you stand out. Because now that it's a full-time position, they really need someone who's competent. Like you're not going to be here for 10 weeks for an internship. It doesn't work out. Okay, that's fine. Like, they'll be done and leave. No, they know you're going to stay with the company. They know they're going to work with you. You're going to work under them for a while. So they really want to make sure that you're competent, that you're really ready for that role, which is why I guess you got to take the interview more seriously, be more prepared even than for an internship, which you should also be very prepared for, of course, if you're applying for a competitive company, and then just really have those experiences built up, ready to back you up. So
I see. Yeah, it takes a lot of commitment and time and energy as well to build the competence throughout 4 years of your college. Yeah, right. And like when you say competence, you're not only referring to your academic, accomplishments, but also internships and the clubs, the extracurricular activities that you're involved in. So everything has to be, has to stand out because there's just so many resumes there, and there's so many candidates out there, and being able to, perform the interview well as well is super important, I guess, right?
Right.
Right. Sounds good. We have a limited time. We're already approaching 1 hour limit.
Yeah, time flies by. Then I get to talk about half of the things.
Yeah, but as long as you're cool, we can extend it to another 10, 15 minutes, depending on
as long as we answer all the questions.
Yes. Okay. Someone asked another question. El Muradov Danyar. Hi there. Can you please talk about the difference between student resume, CV, and portfolio?
So I am not exactly sure when they say portfolio. I guess that they're referring to specific roles. For example, I had a friend who's in finance, so I actually needed to have a portfolio, and not finance, sorry, fashion. So she needed to have a portfolio of her work, of like her dresses, whatever she's built. But I'm not sure what they mean in my case, because I never had to make a portfolio. All I usually use is a resume. So that's what they would say. Sometimes they would ask like, oh, a CV letter or a resume, and I would just put my resume, and that was enough. So I don't know if I can really say too much about the portfolio, but
I see. Well, I mean, I would say like your LinkedIn account, like any social media profile account, on a if it's a professional social media account like LinkedIn, that already counts as a portfolio, I would say. Portfolio
Yeah.
is like, I would say, is an extended version of your resume with, with your work. If you're in fashion, as I said, you may have
Yeah.
your photos, or I don't know,
Yeah.
some links to certain websites or something.
Yeah.
So I think that would be the difference.
Yeah, I just wouldn't stress it too much because I've never been asked to submit a portfolio.
Hmm.
Never even seen it on any of the applications that, at least in business finance industry and like assurance, like audit industry. So
Yeah. Since we're like, running out of time and we have another 10, 15 minutes, I would encourage everyone who are watching us to, drop their questions when they have time. And we'll be wrapping up pretty soon. We have some other interesting questions. Those are, I call them three questions. If it's easy to answer for you. uh, can you tell us three favorite books that you read in the past and that really made a big impact in your career and your personal life?
yeah. So this, I always think of this book first before any other books. Rich
Mhm.
Dad Poor Dad.
Oh,
It's just
good.
it was actually maybe my first self-development book, like business book that I've read. I would say, I guess, was it? Maybe it was, but it just like resonated with me. It's just so much. It just like took over my mind, and I just thought, wow, I've been looking at the world from the wrong perspective. I had that mentality, which maybe even now, from my experiences and where I am, it sounds like, okay, so she did internship, she has a full-time job, she's gonna work, she's gonna, get the 401k, she's gonna, retired when she's 67. But that's how it sounds. But that reading that book really puts into perspective where it's like, why am I doing that? Why do I have to live by this pattern that everyone else is living with the employee mindset? You know, why? Like, why can't I be what this person is? Why can't you have your own business like this person is having? Like, what is the difference? Is it that you just want stability? Is it that you want to avoid risks so you can just spend one single life that you have living like everyone else? And not to disrespect, everyone has their own path. And at some point, that was my path. And at this point right now, I'm still going through that path to gain experience where, it's the standard thing that people go through. But it's just, that book is, I can't even describe it. Just read it. It's just about, this rich, his actual dad who's poor, who, kind of encourages his son to do well in school, to get a job, to get a good job. And then his rich dad was like, why don't you be the employer? Why don't you employ these people who want to be employees? Why are you the employee? Why are you on that side? Why are you not on this side of the bridge? So it really makes you think and look at life differently. So definitely would encourage
That's
that.
awesome.
And I know you said 3 books. So another one that I read not too long ago, which I want to reread because it's a very small, big book, is called Go Giver, and I don't think it gets enough attention. Amazing book. It just stresses the importance of giving and caring before you can receive. How when you give, you just start receiving. You give without wanting to receive. You just, you want to bring value. It's just like talks about these 5 laws that focus on like importance of like giving. That's why it's called Go Giver, and how everything else will start to fall in place. So would recommend that. It's a very quick book. And then third one, I guess this is not, I know I'm talking about all of these business books, but third one is actually called 5 Languages of Love. And that book influenced me greatly too. And it just made me understand how people are. And it's not, it's called love, but it's not only about your romantic relationships. It can apply to your relationship with your family members. It can apply to your relationship with friendships. It just talks about these different 5 languages of love that people maybe love with, maybe, I know there are 5, like there's giving, like gift, there's physical, there's affirmation, there is what are the other ones I'm missing? There's affirmation, quality time, and then active service. So for example, if somebody's love of language is active service, which is like when you prepare their maybe work stuff for them, or like if you prepare breakfast for them, or like clean up the house and surprise them, active service, that's something they might really love. Like if you do that for them, they will think you love them. They will think you love them. But if your language is gifting, and this person is active service, and you keep giving them all these gifts, like you're giving them a car, you're giving them a freaking phone, and it's like, why are you still unhappy? What, like, why do you think I don't love you? I'm giving you all these things. This is like my love. And they're just like, well, that's not their love language. They're not gonna think that's you loving them. That's your language. So you wanna, every relationship you build, you wanna love people in their love language, not in your own. And they need to love you in your love language. So that's just amazing. That book was something I've never thought of. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I actually bought this book. I never had a chance to read it, but
Oh my
like I'm
gosh.
very interested now. Definitely want to give it a
You
try.
should totally read it. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Those three books are amazing. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad and I read Go Giver. They
Okay.
are like very much foundational books.
Yeah.
They're the foundations of, like for example, Rich Dad Poor Dad is like foundation of like you thinking about your life, like your
Right.
career, your business, where you're headed. It gives you a good solid foundation.
Right.
And Go Giver is also super amazing because it sets your mind up for success, I would say. Because in life, we're social animals. We just have
Yeah.
to serve each other. We
Right.
have to, do some good stuff to each other, bring some
Right.
value to each other, so that we can get back from them. And doing it without expectations, as you previously mentioned, is super important, I guess, right? Like doing it without expecting anything in return, well, will actually, triple your return.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure.
And you're a proven, example of that, I would say. And okay, we have some other three. I call them three questions again, right? Questions.
All right.
Three good habits of yours.
Okay. Okay. I guess I know there's a book on this that I've been wanting to read that I didn't get to read. It's called Make Your Bed. So that is something that is just so simple, but really makes you as a person. It's just one of those habits. What was the book about? Yeah. Anyways, there's tons of books on habits that talk about
Atomic
importance.
Habits.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I started that one, never finished. So gotta really read that. But I always try to make my bed when I wake up. It's just like it becomes automatic. You just make it. Just make it simple. You get up, you make your bed. I think that's just a great habit. It just really teaches you discipline. And I think I would know more. I would have more to say once I read the Make Your Bed book and the great influence of that simple act. But I just know that's something that really helps start off my day on a positive note and already having done something that I set my mind to. So really a good habit. Let me see. This one is hard to think of because it's a habit, so you do it all the time, so you don't like think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It doesn't have to be like your physical habit. It could be like your principle. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe it could be that whenever I meet with people, I don't like awkward silence. Even sometimes when I'm in an elevator, I make like a small talk. I'm like, "Hi, how are you today?" I just hate the awkwardness when two people are standing and they're just wondering what the other one is thinking and just silent. So that's why whenever I meet someone in the lunchroom, I meet someone on my just on my way to the bathroom, like I just meet someone. It's kind of like, I guess it could be called a habit, is that I go up and introduce myself, unless of course they look super busy or they're like they look grumpy, then obviously you want to leave people alone. But more than if you're working on the same floor and you're seeing this person all the time, I think it's good that you'd rather introduce yourself as opposed to like just you see me, I see you, I don't know what you do, you don't know what I do, and we just live like that. No, we're human beings, as you said. We need attention, we need to talk, we need to be given attention, and people really like when you take the time to go up to them, introduce yourself, like, wow, this person really like wants to introduce themselves to me. They think that I'm someone that's good to know, worth of knowing, and that's going into it too much, but I just think that's a great habit. Just
That's
go
awesome.
introduce yourself, talk to people. Like I remember in my new classes in college, if someone is next to me, like they would all be shy and like waiting for another person to talk. And I would be the person, I'd be like, hey, like, how are you? What year are you?
To the moment.
Yeah, I just love that because I think I hate when I don't know what people are thinking. It's just awkward. So I just like breaking that awkwardness with conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the first one is making your bed. And the second was like, I think like internal urge to connect with others. That's another habit of yours. And anything else? Or
yeah, I guess this one is also like a physical habit in a way, but I know I guess there's some debates about it, but making eating breakfast in the morning, I think that I don't know, that just makes a difference in my life. I just feel more energetic. I feel happier. Maybe I just love food, but I think there's some research that really goes to show that your brain functions better and you just physically feel better when you have breakfast. And people say it's the most important meal of the day. It's a very big thing, that like a big saying that they say, eat a lot during breakfast, even if you eat not as much during dinner and lunch. So
right. 100%.
I try to eat breakfast before work. Yeah, even if I have to wake up 2 hours before, I just really get ready. I make my bed, take a shower, eat breakfast, and I feel like I'm ready to take on the day. It just makes me feel like a person.
Wow. So make your bed. Make sure you connect with people whenever you had a chance. Making breakfast and eating your breakfast. So it gives you a good energy in the morning, because food is a source of energy, right? If you're not hungry, if you're like full, then you perform better. That's good. It's good to know. And we have three questions. Three principles in your career and life in general. Like three.
Oh, how perfect! I actually get to see the I get to say the little quotes of mine, that mottos, I guess, that I couldn't say earlier. So
right.
I know I already said one of my favorites was everything happens for a reason. Another one that I recently actually found out like 3 or 4 years ago, and it stuck with me as well, is he who says he can and he who says he can't are both usually right. So that one was just so deep, and just like for me, it just made me really think that's so true. If you think you can do something, you can. It's people who think they can, people who know they can, people who believe in themselves are the ones doing it. Yeah. But if you yourself think you're not capable of doing something, you cannot do it, why would anyone else have faith in you? Why would anyone else think you can do it? You don't believe in yourself, why should I believe you? You guys watch Shark Tank, people go with their ideas, and if you're like, well, I don't know if this business is going to do well, but can you invest like $1 million in it? No, you don't believe in your business yourself, why would anyone else? So you just if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, I'm sorry, you can't. That's just how it is. So that's one of my favorite ones. And another one is if not you, then who? If not now, then when? That one is one that my sister actually gave me a little notepad
one more time.
Huh?
Say it again one more time.
If not you, then who? If not now, then when? She gave me a notepad, and it was in Russian actually. Если не ты, то кто, и если не сейчас, то когда, and it's just like, I read that, I remember, and I just couldn't forget. It just stuck with me, and it just like would remember once in a while when I'm doubting myself, and I would just say, well, like, if I can do it, like, why can't I do it? If this person could do it, why can't I do it? Like, maybe they have higher IQ, maybe they have better genetics, maybe they're smarter, but why can't I work double as hard, triple as hard as them to get to where they are? Like, why can't I? We are humans at the end of the day, despite the mental capabilities, we are still capable of the same physical things. We're capable, for the most part, of course, I'm like, there are people with disabilities and it's tough, but for my specific case scenario, I just think, why can't I do it? It's another human being that did it. It's not some kind of another form of human being. We don't have 3 different human being types where someone is just better. No, it's just how much effort you put, your determination, your willingness to learn, and a lot of other things. So, and why not now? So that's my next quote, I guess. It's like, and it's like, it's in, I think in every language there's a saying like that. Like, my mom used to say these to me, so ever since I was little, I just remember, I'm like, and that means do not leave today's task for tomorrow. So if I do not want to do this right now, when today is the same thing as it will be tomorrow, what makes me think that I will want to do it tomorrow. I will just wake up and want to do it. No, now that you've procrastinated already, it just gets worse and worse and worse. And that's why when we procrastinate on something, we don't do it right away. It's just like, just don't want to do it ever. Like, I didn't do it yesterday. Why should I do it today? Oh, well, I didn't do it yesterday. Why should I do it today? And you just don't do it. So,
yeah. That's awesome. I mean, we could just link it back to one of your first habits, which is make your bed. I think the reason why you like this is because you want to do it now. Like if you don't do your bed now, when you just wake up, then like imagine how many like tasks you're gonna miss during the day. You go to office, you have so many tasks, and you're missing a lot. So that actually links very well, and well.
Now that you said that too, just to like add to it, why is it so big? Is because, and sometimes this happens in my family where someone says, well, why should we do this? Like it's gonna get old anyways. It's like, and my mom laughs and she says like, oh well, why do you have to eat? You're gonna get hungry anyways. It's like, why do you have to make your bed? You're gonna sleep in it later anyways. Well, in that case, like, why do you have to work? You're gonna spend the money anyways. It's just that mindset, as small as that in the future you're just gonna start thinking that way. You're gonna set your brain to think that, well, why should I do this? Why should I work? I'm gonna die anyways. Well, that's not a way to live. No, you make your bed because that's something you do so you can do the next thing. So you do things that make your life awesome because you live once. You can always have that pessimistic mindset where you just don't do anything because it's all at the end of the day nonsense, like you're gonna die. But why would you have that mindset? Make your bed, make it.
Love it. Awesome. So everything happens for a reason. Who think they can or can't, that means they're right.
That's they're awesome. Both usually right.
Yeah, very small like statements, but like they have a deep meaning. And then the last one is, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? I love it. And I just want you also to explain what you mean by, what was the name? Confidence without ego.
Confidence without ego. Oh, the one on my Instagram.
Yes. I actually expected you to, mention that, but you never did, so I had to bring it up.
I just have so many of these favorite quotes of mine. They're just so awesome. Like, and I didn't even say all of them. And it's funny that I actually remember these quotes and apply them in life. I don't know. It's just a thing about me when I read something that really maybe because I try to understand the meaning, it becomes hard to forget. If I just read it as a sentence, then I would forget it, but I apply meaning to them. So confidence without ego, I think that speaks to itself in a way. You want to be confident. Like, I'm confident. I like calling myself a confident person. I think I'm capable of everything that I set my mind to, but don't be egoistic. Like, I don't know, like, do not think that you're better than others. Do not think that, oh, well, I just think I can do this thing better. Like, it's good to be confident. It's good to put in the effort, but what's the word? There was like a little saying in Russian too about just being humble. Like, just be humble about it. Be confident, lead others. Don't think, oh, you're better than them. You're just going to separate yourself. You're not going to, lead others. You're not going to help others. You're not going to show them the way. You're just like, full of ego because you're the best, it's just, it's just, the line is so thin between being confident and being egoistic. You just want to be careful to be on the good side of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the reason why I brought it up is because it resonated with me like so much that I had to bring it up. Like, it's so easy. Like, it's a fine line, as you said, between like ego and confidence. And sometimes confident people become egoistic, or too much self-love. I mean, not too much self-love, but self-centered.
Self-centered.
As they say, and as they say, no man is an island. We're all social animals, and we always need each other, and we always have to be humble.
Right.
And we have to serve each other. That's how we get served. That's how we function as a human.
I'm glad you brought it up. That's why
I had. Someone just made another comment. If not you, then who? I like that as well.
Not you, then who? Not now, then when?
Exactly. Okay. And the last three questions that I want to touch on is 3 characteristics, habits you value in people.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a little cliche. I think, everyone says the same thing, but honesty. Oh my gosh, I cannot stress it enough. Honesty, not in just your words, in your work, honesty in your actions, honesty in your intentions. It's just honesty in everything you do. I cannot stress it enough. Just be honest. Honest, not with only other people. Be honest with yourself, you know? You know, if you're doing work, for example, sometimes I do some kind of task, right, for my job, and I know I could just do it to do it. You know, I could complete it, but I want to be honest. Like, I want to give my honest work forward. I want to do it the way it's supposed to be done, not the easy way. You know, and same way when you do something like even at work, you know, you have a task that maybe you're running behind, not completing. Well, rather than like sitting on it and not telling anyone, and then at the end it's like, boom, sorry, I didn't do it. Be honest from the beginning. Be honest. Sorry, I couldn't do it. I'm doing this. I'm this. You know, and obviously the term itself, like when it comes to lying, too, don't lie. Just be honest, because at the end of the day, if that's something you did or that's something you didn't do, that's who you are, or there's maybe a reason to it. It's just that is what it is. So what is the point of hiding it if that happened for a reason? Just be honest. You know, so honesty, that's a huge one.
Awesome.
There are just so many different things I think of, but I'm trying to pick my most I guess most important ones to me. Honesty, and this is also, it goes into being honest, but being genuine. That's something I really appreciate in people, and that's something I've been gifted with. I think it just passed down from my mother, maybe. But I try to be very genuine with people, whether I just met you or known you for 3 years. I obviously, to the extent there are things I should share and there are things I shouldn't, but I will be genuine with you. I'm not gonna try to make myself a different person. I'm not gonna just
not be pretentious.
Yes, exactly. Do not pretend. Just be genuine with people. If you want to help people, don't act like you want to help them. Be genuine and actually help. And if you don't want, then just don't do it. Just do not. If you cannot be genuine about doing something for someone, it's just better not to do it. And if you don't want to be genuine with the person when you're like having a conversation with them, it's just better not to talk to them. It's just I think that's the atmosphere, like where everything is. It just like contributes to a positive environment when people are genuine. So I really appreciate that in people. And in fact, people can tell when you're pretending and when you're not genuine. And especially when you're like wishing something or like they're sharing something and you're not genuinely happy for them, they can feel it. It's just an instinct we're given for the most part. Most people have this as humans, is you can just feel people not being genuine with you. So really appreciate that.
Okay. Honesty, being genuine, and anything else? Oh, you want to wrap it up?
I know these should come to my mind right away, but there's just so many things. So I'm just trying to think of the ones that I appreciate the most. I guess this is like another characteristic in a way, but like being understanding. I know this sounds simple, but being
you mean
I shouldn't say understanding. It's being like compassionate rather.
Compassionate, empathetic,
/ understanding, because this is like one of those things where somebody shares something with you, and this is something I appreciate in people. This is because it's something I struggle with and I try to work on, is when sometimes people share with me and I'm so optimistic that I bring down the problems, and I'm like, try to be optimistic. I'm like, why are you worried? Everything's okay. But sometimes people just want compassion. Sometimes they don't need a resolution. They don't need an answer. They don't need you to tell them, don't worry, why are you overthinking? They just need you to say, I feel you. Like, I know what you're going through. Like, I
want to be listened to, right?
Yeah. It's like, I remember I made a post on Instagram one time too about like maybe just a silly example, but like maybe there's a woman who just gave birth, has a kid, and she's complaining like, oh, like it's so hard. Like, I have a kid, I've been having a hard time. And the other one is like, oh, just wait until you have two. It's like, do not bring down someone's pain or problems because yours are bigger. That's not how it works. Everyone experiences pain in their own way. So
right. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I can relate to the last statement you made, which is being compassionate and just being able to listen to someone without like trying to add value. I've been reading a book called, what's the name? What Got You Here Won't Get You There. and it's super cool. It goes into details of like communication styles and how you become an effective speaker, effective communicator.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, a lot of top executives who are super smart and everything, but they also have flaws, right? And one of their
Yeah.
flaws is just be always a constant attempt to add value. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't have to add value. Sometimes you just
Yes.
want to give attention to people,
Yes.
listen to
Yes.
them, and
What's this
be
book again?
what got you here won't get you there.
Okay.
It's super
That
cool.
sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
that the author is like a coach for top executives, not
Oh,
like
wow.
people like who are like who are just aspiring professionals, but like top executives.
Yeah.
And then he also mentions that like as you go up the ladder of success, like ladder of like career or business, whatever, uh, technical skills or knowledge will become less important, and human skills like social skills will become more important. And
Mhm.
people that what determines your future is not what what you know, but how you communicate with people, how you
Right.
delegate tasks, how you
That's true.
socialize with people. That's
Yeah.
and an interesting book. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. No, that's a great book. I'll keep it in
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, at some point.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Sorry, I just wanted to add the last three things that I wanted to hear from you, which are three things that you maybe are struggling with that you work, or maybe you're just working on to improve. If you have any, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be three. It could be one or two.
Yeah. I actually have been struggling with disciplining myself.
Mm,
So, I've been not obviously I'm not doing a horrible job because I'm making my bed, but I'm not doing as good of a job as I know I can.
mm,
For a long time, I've been planning to wake up early, 5:30, go out for a walk or a run, come back,
cool.
shower, eat breakfast, and just have this whole routine in the mornings before work. But
Mm,
I've just been like sleeping in. So I've been having a hard time waking up. But if you've been reading all these books, most CEOs, in addition to reading a lot of books, usually wake up early, and they're early birds. They make their beds, and that's why they're ahead of everyone else, because their start of the day is earlier than everyone else. So from the beginning, they already have a head start, and that's where I want to be. But I've been having a very difficult time disciplining myself. So I
mhm,
guess in terms of physical behavior, that's something I'm working on, and in terms of like mental, and as I mentioned, as we just talked about, this is a big one. Learning how to be more compassionate and not to give advice, and to understand that not everyone is the same as you. Not
mm,
everyone experiences pain and problems the same way as you. Just because it's not a big deal to you and it would not stress you out, like, why is this person stressed about it? And I said that earlier. And
mm,
that's something I'm working on. Is this person is different. To them it matters. I just gotta be a good friend. I gotta understand and be there for them. I don't need to give advice. I don't need to bring down their problem. I just need to be there.
yeah.
So that's something I've been working on. And
Mm,
this is another thing. And it will help you with everything in life. And that's why I'm interested in these books about people communicating with people, because
mm,
I talk a lot, but I'm not as good of a listener. And this is
mm,
something I admit, and I would not say that in an interview. There are like fake weaknesses I have for interviews, but this is my real weakness, where
okay.
I am not an amazing of a listener that I want to be. And I'm getting better. I'm
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
But as I said, people like it when you listen to them more than when you talk to them.
Mm,
So just with
mhm.
your friends too, when they're sharing problems with you, just simple as that. Do not go into, oh yeah, yeah, for that happened to me too, and in my case it happened like this. No, listen to them. Listen because you want to listen, because you want to know, not because you want to get it over with so you can say what you have to say.
Right.
So just
Yeah.
listening is just so important. So I've been working on
Okay. Now
that.
we know the reason why you brought this up initially. Being
Yeah.
compassionate, being able to listen to others. That's
Yes.
what you're working on lately,
Yes.
right? Sounds good. Yeah.
That's why I appreciate that in people that are genuinely like naturally able to do that, because for me it's something I really have to work on.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is a different world. They have different structure of their brains. They have different capabilities. They have different, mental and intellectual capacities.
Yes.
And some of them are better than us in some
Right.
ways. Some are worse than us in other
Right.
ways. And
Right.
but yeah, that's awesome. I mean, acknowledging it is the first step, and you're working on it. And thanks for being vulnerable and sharing your
Yes. Yes.
struggles or things you're working on. I appreciate it.
Just one last, since you mentioned it, like advice is last part of piece of advice. Be honest with yourself. If you know there's something you need to work on, you know that you're a bad listener, admit it to yourself before you can actually become aware of it and start working on it. You have to admit it to yourself. And you're hurting yourself when you're choosing not to. When you know maybe you have ego and you're like, well, I don't. Like, that's okay. These people made me, feel this way, and I'm going to be this way. If you're going to have that mindset, you're going to think that way. So you have to admit it to yourself before you can change it.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone asked this question, but I already touched on this specific topic, which is what do financial companies like Wells Fargo expect from potential employees? But if you want to mention a couple of things,
Yeah, just really quick.
Real quick, yeah.
Just like any other company, things that are not specific to Wells Fargo, but any other company actually. And I know you said financial companies, they just want you to be competent in terms of all of these things that we talked about, which they kind of get to see on an interview. Are you honest? Are you going to be an honest employee? Are you going to get your work done? And in terms of like technical things, you want to have a good resume. As I said, you want to have a resume that has experiences that go to show that you worked at these places, you've done these things. You want to list out the things you've done, how they will help you in your future career with that firm. So you want to have a good resume. What else are they looking for? The interview, they want to see that you're yourself, you're putting your best foot forward, and really just leave a good impression and be well-rounded. I think now than more than ever, being well-rounded is becoming so important, because especially now that like technology is taking over, they want to see that you're not just someone who's going to sit and do something and get it done and go home. They want to see that there are other things you can do, that you can adjust. Like if something were to happen to your position or it changes, you will be able to adapt to that change. So they want to see that you're an adaptable, very well-rounded person who can make decisions based on circumstances.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks so much for sharing. And I feel like the early you start becoming more proactive, like the early ages when you're a teenager, the better, I would say, right? Okay, and any final thoughts? And also my last question is, who is Shakhodat Khanbabaeva in 5 years and 10 years?
Oh my gosh, you have to ask that one, huh? So I guess this is something I can't go too much into detail, just because I, currently started at my role and I want to try to get as much experience as I can. But eventually, I guess I'll just say this: I want to have power over my life. I want to have more power over my life. I want to have power of how much I can work, how much I can get, and what I can do with that money. So I'm very young. I'm a young professional who just started out, who's seeking to gain more experience, make connections. But in the future, I just want to have we never have complete power, but to the extent that I can, complete power and financial freedom, as you said.
Right. Yeah. Have a leverage over your life, your time, your energy, your family, your social life, everything, right? And have a balance. Okay. Sounds good. Perfect. Any final thoughts or advice?
Yeah, definitely. I actually just want to thank, I know I've been keeping an eye on the specific number of people who were watching this throughout. The number did not change. So some of you watched this from beginning to end. And I know it's been like an hour and a half. So the fact that you took that much of your time to watch me share, I really hope you got some value from it. I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate the engagement. I really appreciated the thoughtful questions. This interview was better than I even expected. I just enjoyed talking with you guys. So, and Hassan, you did an amazing job. As always, you're a great host. Yes, you're great at putting things together, making things organized, keeping it on track. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure, truly.
Perfect. I just want to wrap it up. Want to take 2-3 minutes, go over what the important things that you mentioned. Balance some of the advice, right? Balance your social and academic and professional life. Balance is super important in life, right? Thanks for sharing your own experiences and, backing it up with your, being able to, focus on many things, but later realizing that, you want to, you want to have a leverage, you want to
Yes.
focus on more priority stuff. And time management is super important. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
One of your big mottos in life, I would say.
Yeah.
And normal, it's super normal to have doubts, questions, and doubting yourself, especially when you're young at early stages. And the way to overcome is being resourceful, being proactive, and approaching people, learning new, like from new resources, and joining new clubs, trying to take up new skills and stuff. You know, uh, and try to focus on the long-term goals. That's what keeps you motivated. You can't get a dose of motivation every day, like watching YouTube videos or something. You just have to have a long-term goal that inspires you every day, that helps you get up in the morning, make your bed, make breakfast,
Yeah.
and make sure, focus on the main goals every day. And having a social media presence is super important in the 21st century, where technology is evolving super fast. And our online versions of our personality, which is like our LinkedIn accounts or other social media accounts, are super important. Be active. And having great relationships with your professors, with your coaches, and the people who help you in life is super important. And also showing appreciation and being grateful, and like really showing it to them, and is super important. And one of the things that I really liked, and I think it's super interesting to know for a lot of young professionals, when they're especially applying for resumes. I get a lot of messages from other people as well, like, how do you do your resumes, how do you stand out among other professionals. So know that they only take 30 seconds. So you got to make sure you're effective. You elicit the most important things on your resume, and don't but like, don't fake it. I mean, be proactive. Also attend extracurricular activities and get good grades as well. And have an elevator speech when you're approaching in events like job fairs and events like this. And also having a strong vision is super important. And when you're seeking a full-time job, make sure you build your academic success, but also build your competence as well, meaning try to be involved in internships as well. And confidence without ego. That's another motto that you shared with us. And honesty in your words and your intentions, and most importantly, be honest with yourself. And sometimes people just want to be heard of. They don't want any value add. They just want to, they just want someone to listen to them, and be that compassionate person. And disciplining, and being able to discipline your life, your career, your work, not overdoing certain things and becoming stressful is super important. Stress is super important. And some of the books that you shared with us are
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And another one is Go Giver, and 5 Languages of Love. Feel free to jot it down and go over them. I read them personally myself, and I really enjoyed them. So yeah, just want to take time and say thank you for your time. Hope to continue with you on our executive board at Uzbek Diaspora. Do a lot of interesting, cool projects with you. Bring value to people, to our community. And I'm happy that we're back after a little bit of pause, which was like a couple months, I guess. As I said in the beginning, we're more refreshed and determined to do more, right?
Back and stronger. Yeah.
And this was a good head start interview. And thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.